Good afternoon and welcome to Barry's match report for the Chelsea v Newcastle game that was played on Monday night. Unfortunately, due to work commitments, it's a bit late loading up, but here we go. So Newcastle with four changes: Gale in for the injured Wilson and the suspended Hendrick. Thank God. The Sells came in for him. Shaw missing for Clark due to injury, and Manquea out and Kraft in. Chelsea made three changes with Kepka in goal for Mendy, Alonso in for Chilwell, and Abraham in for Giroud. Hudson and Doyle was in for Reece James as well, so that might be four changes. Let's get straight into the match. So after 2 minutes, it was again Chelsea started the brightest. Good work down the Chelsea right, deep cross to the back post where Alonso takes it down, hits a sharp left foot drive, which Darlow saves well comfortably down to his left hand side. Smothered it well and kept a hold of it, which was the positive signs for the defence going forward. Uh, 15 minutes passed, very little from ourselves. Unfortunately, Chelsea were dominating the game. Didn't really put too many chances in those 15 minutes, apart from that one effort in the second minute. But the warning signs were there, weren't they? On the 15th minute, great through ball for Abraham over the top. Our defence was far too high and it was too easy for him to get in. Got into the box, and if Lascelles with great pace to get back and one hell of a tackle. There's a lot of comments from Chelsea fans and from other fans from other clubs saying it should have been a penalty because he caught the player first. I think it was player and ball first at the same time. So I don't think it was a penalty. I think it was a great tackle. And unfortunately, due to the tackle, Abraham had to go off on the 17th minute. He tried to run it off, but unfortunately, he suffered what looks like some ankle damage potentially. And Giroud was the man who came on for him, and that could spell trouble for us, is what I wrote when the match was on. So we all know what's going to happen. 21st minute in, our first chance, really. Great ball in by Shelby down the left to Lewis. He squares it to ASM, who is, he had three players in front of him, and his effort was pretty tame in the end. So that was pretty much what I saw in the first 21 minutes. Not much from ourselves. 26th minute, we're ripped open by quick passing deep ball to the back post that was headed into the middle by Alonso, who found Werner totally free, who pokes it wide. So the signs were there again, struggling to adapt to the Premier League as where Mary. Again, we all know what happened. But yeah, again, the signs were there. Kraft was just nowhere. Poor defending, left Alonso in tons of space, and we're lucky Werner was on the end of that one. 27th minute, there was some great work by Midgie to win a corner, but it came from nothing. It came to nothing. That was, again, the highlights are so poor for us. The 30th minute, Werner with some great work down the left, goes to the bar line, drove past Kraft too easily. He drove the ball across the box. It was like a shot cross. Darlow got his left hand to it, punched it out to the middle of the box. And who was there? The substitute Giroud, the man who I said who would open the scoring if, because of what happened. It's just written in the stars sometimes, isn't it? These things happen. So 1-0 to the Blues. And deservedly so as well. We can't really complain about what was going on. 33rd minute, some great quick passing again, and Werner was put in through a lovely little ball over the top onto his right foot. He smashed it, but it went over the top. It was a pretty poor effort. 93rd minute, again, it's all Chelsea. Corner in, Rudiger with an open goal, seems to miss the ball, but Werner's there to knock it into an empty net. 2-0, game, set, and match, really. How often do we score two goals? 46th minute, Newcastle break away, men committed forward, Chelsea hit us on the break, and Mount has a chance to make it free, but his shot is tamely wide, and it was a good effort to make it free. And that was half time. Chelsea could have been 3-4-5 up very easily. They've only got the two. We never landed a glove on Chelsea other than the two hits to Werner's face, and that was pretty much our highlights for the first half, so pretty poor. 46th minute, and we had our first shot on goal. It was very tame effort. It was from Hayden. I can't quite remember. It was very poor. 47th minute, Shelby with a free kick 30 yards out. So we did actually start the second half a little bit brighter, but again, chasing the lost cause, already been 2-0 down. But 47th minute, free kick 30 yards out. and it was over the wall, and it was a comfortable save by Kepka in the end. And this is where I criticised Darlow against Southampton, because it was the same sort of distance, probably me, And if you look at the keeper's starting position against Shelvey's free kick to Darlow's position against Ward-Prowse, you'd understand why I criticised him. Because I think he showed him too much of the corner, where Kepka was in the middle of his goal, made it harder for Shelvey, and Shelvey. It was a good free kick, but comfortable. 53rd minute, great work by ASM down the left, beats two men, gets to the bar line, pulls it back, and Willock at the front post gets ahead of his man, but the angle's too tight and he just poked it wide. It's probably one of our best chances of the game, that one. 50th minute, Hudson-Odoi free on the right, tees up Jorginny, who fires over the top. Again, probably should have scored, to be honest with you. I got really frustrated by the game at this point. 64th minute, Gale was off and Joe Linton was on. He offered very little. The only thing I remember him doing was a nice bit of chest control on the wing, cut inside and lost the ball. Pretty much what he's been doing all season. 71st minute, the Cells could have been quite lucky. Should it have been a penalty or not? It was a strong hand on Wormer and his back. He went down easily though, so I would say no pen, but the Cells, you can't do that. You can't put your hand, you can't push a player in the box. You've got to be very careful what you're doing. 72nd minute, shock horror. ASM is off and Fraser's on, but Bruce wants to play them both together. He's had the chance in 8 or 9 games now to play them both together and start them at the same time, and he chooses not to, even though he complained about not being able to do it. So what can you say about it? 76th minute, Willock with a header from Fraser's cross, but Kepka makes a good save, and that was probably, along with his other effort, our two best chances of the game. 70th minute, Willock's off and Carroll's on. Carroll came on, and to be honest with you, I went to bed. With 15 minutes to go, I couldn't watch it anymore. We huffed and puffed, didn't really create any chances. Chelsea controlled the game, and they won it very comfortably, 2-0. That's the match report for the actual game itself. Let's go into the player ratings. Some of them are going to be harsh, but some people think, when you get beat 2-0, the ratings can't be good, can they? So, Darlow, I'll give a 6. He did make some good saves. He did control his area quite well at times, but I think it's time for Dubravka to get back into goal. Carl Darlow was always a number 2 or number 3 at the club. He's not a number 1. When your number 1 is fit, you put him back in. Look at Manchester United. Look at all other clubs. Their number 1 goalkeeper always plays when fit. Jamal Lewis, I didn't really see too much of him. 5. He didn't really do too much wrong. He didn't do too much right either. So the Cells, 5. When that second goal went in and the players' heads all dropped, so Jamal Lascelles. Now, for a captain to do that is disgusting. I did not expect that from him. Not when the last time he went down, he was the one. He was the young guy coming in, rollicking everyone in the dressing room, and I'm not seeing it from him this time round. Is that because of Bruce? Is that because he's given up? Is that because he knows the tactics aren't working? He knows the manager's not good enough, and he knows we're just floating into relegation again. But that kind of attitude needs to disappear by the next game, because if we do that again, we're going to get beat very badly. Kraft, now I'd give him a good rating against Southampton. Our backs were against the wall, and I thought he did all right. Today, I would say today, but the match on Monday, shocking. He far too many times Chelsea got down the left hand side or right hand side, and he was so poor. I have to give him a 3. And I'm really worried about him going up against the likes of Martial, likes of Rashford, Fernandez. If he wants to go down the left, he'll go down their left, and he'll be up against Kraft, who you can beat every single day. So I'm very worried about the next game. Kieran Clark didn't do too much wrong. Again, didn't do too much right. It was 2-0, no clean sheets. Can't really remember seeing him do too much in the game, to be fair, so it was 6. John Joe Shelvey, who's come into a lot of criticism recently. I still think there's a player in there. I think when he's got the willing runners around him, we've got Wilson up top. I think Shelvey is the man to find them and to unlock doors. And there's nobody else in our team who does have that passing power and that vision. So I think we need to lay off him a little bit, but again, we also need to criticise him when we need to. And again, there wasn't really too much from him. But again, we sat too deep. So when we sit too deep, John Joe Shelvey is pointless. We have to be up attacking a five. Willock looks fresh, looks good. Had probably the two best chances of our game. He did his best to get onto the end of two of them. I would give him a 6. I'm very pleased with his start as a Newcastle player, and I think there's a lot more to come from him. So watch that space with him. I mean, again, we've got Man United away next, but let's see what he does. Isaac Hayden, again, I think he should be captain, to be honest with you. I think he's a leader. I think he's our best defensive midfielder, and I think he's one of the best defensive midfielders in the country, if I'm quite honest with you all. I've always rated him, and he loves the fans, and he stuck with us. He didn't have to. He could have seen out his contract, and he wanted to move down south, but he's persuaded to stay by the fans and by his family, which is great. And I really do rate him. But again, there was no real outstanding players on the pitch, but a 6. Dwight Gale, I don't know if he was playing on the right wing most of the time in the night. I mean, he's a number 9. He's meant to be up front. We could have seen the best of Dwight Gale potentially, or he could have caused havoc if he was up front with his pace, catching Chelsea on the break. But it just never worked out for him on the day again. A 5. Alan St. Maximum, not his best game. He looked like he was trying too hard. I mean, sometimes you've got to think of that in-game intelligence of a player. If you've got 3 guys marking you, that means there's 2 guys free somewhere else on the pitch. So instead of trying to beat those 3 players, sometimes it's best to drop the ball off, make a move, find more space somewhere else, and while the other players are in the other space, take advantage of it. And he tried to beat too many men too many times. It's great when it pulls off, but when you're playing against the likes of Chelsea, you need to make every opportunity count and keep the ball for as long as possible, and he didn't really seem to do that. Miguel Almiron, who was my man of the match in the last 2 games, again, huffed and puffed, saw little glimpses of what Midgie can do, but again, a 6. I'm not even going to say a man of the match because I don't think there was one. As for the substitutes, Fraser a 6. He came on and huffed and puffed for the 20 minutes that he could. Joe Linton a 4. Shocking. Don't even know why he gets on the pitch. I just don't understand it. And Andy Carroll a 3. He came on and just gave away so many fouls and free kicks. It was just, I think he's finished. He doesn't have the legs anymore. He doesn't look like he has the fight anymore. I don't know if the team has the fight, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. So that's my match report for the game, and that's my rating. So we've got Man United up next on Sunday, 7 o'clock kickoff. If Kraft is playing, I mean, some people are calling for Murphy to go to right back, and I don't think Murphy's good enough as a right back anyway. So, I mean, but again, he's got more pace than Kraft. So, but we're going to be pinned in most of the game again. So I don't really think it really matters if Murphy plays. But we need to play Gale up front as a number 9. We need to play a 4-2-3-1. We need to try and get the best out of our attacking players, get them up the pitch as often as possible, and get Shelvey spraying those balls down into the corners, for our pace to really cause havoc for Man United. But I can't see anything past a 3-4-5-0 defeat again, unfortunately, and that's just how we are. And we know how much pressure we're going to be under after, I think it's Wednesday night, where Fulham are playing Burnley, and that's tonight. God, it's Wednesday already. I've gone for a draw in that game, and I think a draw would be a good result for us because Fulham are on the up and the up, but we need to keep Burnley down there as well, and we also need to keep an eye on the Brighton results because we need Brighton to stay down there as well. It can't be a 2-horse race. We can't be sucked into either Fulham or Newcastle going down. We need Burnley in that fight, and we also need Brighton in that fight as well. Because if it's a 2-horse race, Fulham are going to win it, especially with the games they've got coming up. So they've got Palace, they've got Sheffield United, those teams down there as well, really struggling. So Palace we want to keep losing as well because they're really struggling. So there's not 7 teams like Bruce says that are going to go down. There's a possible 4 to 5 maybe. And that all depends if we pick up points because we're the ones looking over our shoulder, but we've also got to look up. We've got to look to see who we can drag back into this as well. Steve Bruce, by the way, if you want to give him a rating, I give him a 0 as always, as he's never been good enough for this club. he comes out and says the same crap every single time in interviews at the end. Oh yeah, so glimpses. It was a great second half. The only reason why he's saying it's a great second half is because it was 0-0. We didn't concede a goal, but we'd never really fretted either. Made a threat. So very frustrating again, especially after such a great win against Southampton. I was optimistic before the kickoff when I saw that Gale was starting, and that optimism disappeared very quickly after 15 minutes. So yeah, roll on the next game, eh? If you do enjoy my videos, please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. I do have a new show coming up soon called Know Your Fans. I'm really excited by it, as you can tell by my face. I'm going to be interviewing Newcastle fans all over the country and hopefully all over the world. I want to know why they're Newcastle fans, and I want to know why they fell in love with the club, especially the state it's in. And I just want to hear some stories and hear about some good old times. You know, try and put a smile on people's faces in this lockdown. Try and help fight mental health issues as well at the same time. Get people talking. Get following on Twitter. You know, all Newcastle fans should follow each other. If you follow me on Twitter, I will always follow back. So please interact, please comment, even if it's good or bad. I'll listen, I'll debate anything with anyone about anything on football when it comes to our club. I'm not always right. I'd like to think I'm always right, but I'm not always right, and not everyone's right. This is why football's great. Opinions matter, and it's great to talk about them and great to debate them. So let's have a chat, guys. Signing off.